This video, just like many other videos, are about applied music theory. The topic shouldn't be scary, it's really simple, and that's why I prepared for you a free mini music theory course. It's completely free, and it's very easy to follow, and it's basically the key that is going to unlock all the other videos on this channel. Check it out, guitarinfusion.com, but for now, let's get into this video. Intros have been kind of on my mind lately. That's most of the time how I start my videos, just kind of freeform improvise. And as I've been doing this in the last few months, I discovered a few things that I think I'm going to be able to put into words in this video and help you create those organic type of musical experiences that start from very little something and become something as you go. It's very rewarding. It helps your musicality, it helps your connection with the instrument, and it helps your theory, it helps everything. That's what we're going to explore today. Grab your guitar, I'm going to show you a few things, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to create something new. Grab your guitar, I'll meet you right after this. Hi, my name is David Wallerman. Welcome to this channel, which is all about helping guitar players like us find our unique voice on the instrument, which is the guitar in this case, develop that voice to tell our own personal musical story. This is a journey. This is about communicating ideas, telling stories that are different from player to player. Everybody's unique, and there's no reason why your uniqueness should not be expressed on the instrument. This is your pencil. There's no stories that come from the pencil. The story comes from inside. And we're going to learn a few tricks that are going to help you get inspired on this instrument. The main thing in these intros is that they are made of chords and melodic lines. All right, if I only gave you that wouldn't be enough. There's a few things in these chords that are kind of recurring. Pay attention to this. Here's one chord, and I don't even know the name of the chord. It doesn't matter, but here's one chord. Here's another one. Here's another one. Another one. What do these chords have in common? They have in common the fact that each of these chords have at least one open string. This one, for example, I'm strumming 5 strings, so all strings but the 6th, and the frets are from the 5th to the 1st open, 5, 5, 3, open. There are 2 open strings. Here's another chord that I was playing. This one, for example, this one also has an open string. This chord right here is played on the low E string. We have the 3rd fret, and then I'm playing the first 3 strings on open. Here's that open string, 3 and 3. Okay, here's another chord that I might use in this kind of thing. Another open string right here on the 4th string. So that's open, 2, 5, 5. So yeah, the main thing in these chords is that they all have open strings. And there's something pretty magical when you use a standard tuned guitar. So that would be from the low E string to the high E string, E, A, D, G, B, E. Whenever you use a chord that has these open strings, these chords most of the time are going to be movable, which means that if you play one of these chords with an open shape, let's take the traditional C major. It's got some open strings here. From the 5th string to the 1st, we have 3, 2, open, 1, open. That chord is going to be movable. Now, not all the time. Not every fret is going to work. Some are going to be pretty ugly, but you're always going to find at least one other chord that has the same exact shape as far as your fingers goes, and you're just moving that shape to a different fret. For example, here, if I take that C major chord, move it to from the 3rd fret for the ring finger to the 5th, that works too, right? There's different places there that work. Now, your job is not to memorize exactly where all of these work, because I want your ear to be involved. That's really important in this exercise. But that's a little bit of experimentation where you're moving that chord, taking a mental note. Does that note work or not? Probably not here. I kind of like that. And so forth. And explore the fretboard with a shape. You don't need all of them, just a few. And start working your way through some of these chords, blending them and just remembering, okay, remember that this C chord shape works well, I think, on the 8th fret. I like that sound. So that's one that I might use in my story. So I'm going to use that. And maybe you use another chord shape, maybe this one. This one is a cool one. I really like this shape where I'm using 3 fingers on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. In this case, I had my ring finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string, the pinky red below on the 5th fret also, 3rd string, and the index on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. And you can strum 5 strings there, so you'll have 2 open strings, one on the 5th string and one on the 1st string. There's a lot of cool places where you can move that. You can move it 2 frets higher. You can move it to the 10. Really like that one. To the 12th. To the 2nd. There's a lot of different spaces there. So just pick a few. And the cool thing, whenever you have one of these movable shapes using an open string, you can usually blend them together. Again, you don't need to be aware of the key or the name of the chord or the intervals that you're playing right now. You're just creating that musical canvas. So if we use that C major chord, for example, shape that we had here, we kind of liked it on the 8th fret. We can maybe blend that with with the 2nd chord that I showed you. Maybe we'll play it here on the 5th fret. Isn't that beautiful? And they're all going to work. Because they have in common these open strings. So that's the first thing that I do usually in those improvised freeform intros. I start with a chord that I know is movable, and I start playing a little bit and blending these chords together. Already it's starting to create something, right? And your ear is going to be involved in the process of discovery. It's a lot of discovery here. You really need to spend time on one shape and really just place your guitar, your fingers on the fretboard and listen. Do you like this? Yes, okay, that's going to be one of the tools that I'm going to use. Move that 1 fret higher. Do you like this? Oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of do. And just pay attention to where you're playing that. If you don't like it, forget that one. And then mix and match these things. Okay, so open strings, super important. Once you did that a few times, you're going to start to recognize some zones of the fretboard, some chord shapes, and you're going to tie to those shapes some sounds. So if I'm starting to play here, I'm hearing that type of sound here, playing a little bit more, mixing other shapes that I know will work. And then go back to that original one. So you're going to start to, to hear some things there. And that's where you're going to engage another part of your brain. So this part of the brain is more of the exploration, listening part, and you are basically enjoying what's going on. Your fingers know that, okay, that shape is going to work because of the research that you've done, and you're just kind of enjoying what's going on, knowing that you can't go wrong if you're using some of these movable open string shapes. Then there is the melodic aspect part, and the aspect of the part of your brain that is going to be engaged here is a little bit different. It's maybe a more cerebral approach where you are digging from the scales this time, and the theory that you may have learned of intervals. So for example, back to our shape here. Right here, I'm playing that, and I'm switching on the other part of my brain, thinking that, all right, well, I could consider that low E string to be the root of my chord. That's an A. So I'm an A something if I want to create a melodic line here. And then I'm looking at the other notes that I have. I have this one, which is a minor seventh. And then this one, which is a minor third. Okay, that tells me minor scale, minor type of scale. And then this note right here, what is that? That one is the fourth of A. And then this one right here, that is the fifth. Okay, so that means that chord is going to work with a scale that matches these elements. And there are multiple ones possible, but I need to find a scale that has a root, a minor seventh, a minor third, a fourth, and a fifth. Well, that kind of screams pentatonic. Pentatonic is most of the time really safe because the 5 notes of a pentatonic scale are found in a lot of commonly used minor scales, minor modes, if you're playing in a minor context, or major with a major pentatonic. But here I could start playing a little bit of minor pentatonic. Right? And maybe I can expand a little bit, maybe Aeolian type of flavor. And then go to another open scale shape if I want. But that's kind of the idea. Or maybe if I don't want Aeolian, maybe I want Dorian. And how do I know that, by the way? Because my theory brain, my mathematical approached brain is engaged this time. The key is to mix both elements together, I think. The exploration approach, the tactile approach, where you're playing these shapes with open strings. And then you switch on the mathematical mode, and here I know that shape is kind of a major one. Pick from my major licks, and then I'm back to a minor chord. Here it is. So that's one other thing that you can do, and that's what's happening in those intros that I'm doing on the channel here. Okay, so far 2 elements were involved in this kind of playing, this kind of organic playing. There's the shape-based chords with open strings, very, very important. And there's the mathematical theory type of thing that tells you what notes around those chords can be used. Now there's another aspect, and that's confidence. And you know what? I only have the French word, the toucher, the touch. The touch of the instrument. So you need to know your instrument. It would be a little harder for me to do those kind of things with a brand new instrument that I'm not used to, or maybe that it's not set up completely the way that I want. this has become my main instrument, this Vola Oz guitar. It's an awesome guitar. There are other awesome guitars around. The point is, this kind of thing is really going to be brought alive if you do it on an instrument that you're really comfortable with. Although I said at the beginning of the video that this is a pencil and there's no stories that are found in this pencil, if you know your pencil really well, your instrument really well, you're going to be able to bring out some things that want to be brought out. For instance, if I'm playing, I know that if I play with this amount of pressure, now I can't show you, I will show you in a second, but I can picture it in my mind, this kind of pressure, you know, not too strong, not too light, but the right amount, the notes are going to be brought up the way I want. That's what I want. If I do this with the same exact pressure on a different instrument, different pickups, different settings, it might not be exactly the way that I want. So being in control, being one with the instrument is important, and you can only do that by playing with the same instrument over and over. But I think that's an element that is really important when you're playing this kind of organic thing that can be intimidating first because, you know, there's nothing that is prepared. But if you are quote-unquote one with the instrument, you know how it's going to respond and nothing is going to come out of as a surprise, you're going to be more in control of this. And not only the guitar, but the whole signal chain. In this case, I'll switch to this camera to show you what's going on in the back. I'm using my Vola Oz. I'm going into the Rev Generator 740, which is a fairly new amp for me, but I fell in love with this thing. It's very comfortable. It responds the way that I want. And then into the 2-Notes Torpedo Studio with some Rev cabs in there. And that configuration, to me, because I played enough with it, just responds the way that I want. I feel in control with this kind of sound. Not that it's the right sound for everyone, but for me, just a little bit of dirt. It's clean. But if I really dig into the note, I have a little bit of distortion coming up. It responds the way that I want. Okay, so far we talked about 3 elements, and there's another one, a 4th one, and last one that is really essential, and that's the storytelling aspect of things. When you're telling a story, you don't want to jump from one thing to the next. You want a continuation of things, and you also want to remind the listener, which is you, and the participant too in this kind of thing. Like the player is also the listener. You want to remind him continuously of what's going on. Not too much, because you don't want to, you don't want to be boring, but enough so that the listener has a sense of participation to the story. Like, let's do this kind of thing. Let's associate ideas and themes to what we're playing. Let's say that this, starting with this chord, and I know that chord would work on the 10th fret too, and the 12th. Let's say that we're going to associate to that a theme. And we're going to say that, all right, we're picturing with this a castle. I like fairy tales, you probably guessed. But there's an old castle that is kind of abandoned, still beautiful, but kind of abandoned on top of a hill. That's the theme, all right? We're going to introduce something else. Now, we played a little bit here. So I'm always going to think of that theme of the story there. And then we're going to introduce a river that is behind the castle. And that's going to be this kind of thing. All right. I want to blend both themes together. I want to blend the castle with the river, because there's something important there in my story. So I'm going to remind you of that castle. I'm always going to allude to that at some point. And then no matter where I go, you know, you've got those two elements. And maybe I go here, maybe the hero comes in, but he's kind of tired. Where is that hero? He's in the river right now. And what does he see? After crossing the river, he sees that castle. So I've got three elements. I've got my castle, my river, and my hero. So three different themes that I'm kind of like mixing and matching, but I'm not completely forgetting the first thing that I introduced, which was that castle. Make sense? So four different elements are kind of enmeshed and blended together in a way that hopefully creates something that kind of stands alone. Is the exploration phase, like these chords that I can move with open strings, very important because those are going to pretty much ensure that you can mix and match them together. There's the mental cerebral approach that has all the different notes around those chords that you can use to create themes and licks and make it a little bit more guitaristic. There is the touch of the instrument. So do you touch it lightly, strong? I recommend light most of the time, because if you start right away with this and you slow down or have a gentle touch after that, I'd rather start soft and then go hard and then go back soft, instead of starting hard, soft, and hard. I'd rather do that, but for this kind of thing. That's the third thing. And then the fourth is think in terms of stories. Develop your story. Enjoy the process. It's very important. And just explore. And as you do this every day, you're going to discover new things, new connections between these four different ideas that are really going to help you be one with the instrument and enjoy it in a brand new way. I just love doing this, like with no backing tracks, nothing, the silence, there's nothing. And then out of nothing, you create something. It's an awesome journey. I love it. Take it with me. It's so beneficial. It does good to your soul. Thanks for watching this video. I prepared for you some charts with some of these chords that you can use and move around with the open strings that are meant to get you started. Those are not, the only ones. Absolutely not. But just download them, and when you have, 10-15 minutes to practice, take a look, go through, a few of them and move them around and start creating something. If this lesson inspires you something interesting, record it and post it on YouTube. I challenge you to do that, and tag me or send it to me, on my future video if you'd like me to. But enjoy the journey. Super important. To get those charts, visit the link below. Completely free. Just enter your valid email address, and I'll be sending you those right away. And if this was your first visit to this channel, thank you for stopping by. You should subscribe, because every single week 3 videos like this one come out, helping guitar players like all of us find our unique voice on the instrument, develop it to tell our own personal musical story. No one in the world, alive, dead, or to be born, will ever play like you if you take these to heart, because you are unique and no one is you. You're awesome. Practice well. Have fun with this. I'll see you next time on this channel. Practice well.